Good morning, good evening, and afternoon, everyone. So, this is Harleen presenting you today a webinar on Mac. So, we'll take not more than 30-40 minutes from you. So, thank you for joining this webinar and giving us a very precious time. So, let's start on webinar. And before we actually start, so feel free to post your queries in the chat window, and we will be taking up all your questions when we are done with the session. We'll try to answer everyone's queries as well. Okay, so let's start. So this is Harleen, guys, and I am a principal architect from Nvizion Solutions. I have overall 13 plus years of experience in e-commerce domain, and I have managed multiple projects across geographies, spanning various technologies with a strong experience as a software solution architect in analysis, design, development, implementation, and performance tuning of e-commerce applications. So with this webinar, I will help you to understand why a Mac is better than a monolith platform. And if yes, so how to transform from monolith to Mac. And as part of this webinar, we will cover these topics. So concept of Mac, microservices architecture, headless architecture, why Mac, pain points of Mac, modern commerce framework pain points, how to migrate to Mac, achieve Mac, and what is in the new architecture. Before we start with this webinar, a quick intro about us. So we, Nvizion Solutions, founded as 2005, is a leading end-to-end digital transformation and consulting organization which helps other organizations drive business growth and deliver exceptionally digital experience. With our team of experts and strategy planning process, we understand the business objectives and align them with the right technical solution that include modern commerce platforms like commerce tools. So that was a quick intro about us. Now we can actually move on to start with our webinar, which is Mac. So what is concept of Mac? Okay. So as you understand MACH Mac, Mac, although not a copyright term, still coined by Commerce Tool, which solely emphasize on creating an e-commerce platform which purely works on the cloud using microservices and API architecture, which makes it completely headless. So as they say, it should be ideally tested, developed, and maintained on the cloud itself, not on any of the on-prem solutions. So let's break down each component of Mac to understand better how it contributes to creating the Mac e-commerce platform. So this is how we divide Mac. The first component, as you can see, is microservices, followed by API first, cloud native, and headless. So what is microservices architecture? So microservices architecture pattern breaks down a huge monolith environment or application into manageable chunks of services. In addition, microservices architecture enforces a level of modularity, which consequently individual services are much faster to develop, understand, and maintain. Moreover, the developers can have the ability to choose different technologies for different microservices based on cost, efficiency, and soft skill set. Most important feature of microservices are that they can be scaled and deployed independently. The monitoring service is developed and tested locally. It can be deployed, which makes continuous deployment, which we call as CI/CD, a very much possibility. So next one in the league is API first. With API first process, we actually focus on starting with the design, followed by planning, implementation, and testing instead of starting with the actual backend code. With this strategy, stakeholders can actually share their feedback at a very initial or early stage, which allows team to make changes more efficiently before a lot of time and effort is already sunk into the project. Due to this feature, application development using API first approach saves precious development time and the launch of the application to the market. So moving on to the next one, which is cloud native. Okay, so cloud native technology is an approach of designing, constructing, and operating a collection of small, independent, and loosely coupled services. Such cloud applications are built over cloud, which takes full advantage of cloud computing model. Cloud platform provides features of reliability, scalability, and flexibility while giving the option of paying as per the usage with no maintenance responsibility. I repeat, with no maintenance responsibility. So we don't have to worry about the infra. We can just go use any of the cloud available and deploy it there without worry of any infra related activities. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Oracle provides us such cloud environments. So moving on to Headless, which is next in the league. So headless, as the name itself suggests, headless represents the decoupling of front-end from the backend. Backend APIs can be accessed by all kinds of front-ends like web, mobile, IoT, kiosk, or any third-party apps. So that is why it's very important to choose any front-end for any of the backend. There don't have to be any relationship maintained between these two. So why Mac? Why do we need Mac? As everyone wants to understand as well, why do we really need Mac? Where that need arises to use Mac? This need actually arises because of the pain points of the monolith. So let's understand the pain points behind monolith. As we all are aware of, really expensive cost, licensing cost in the name of enormous functionality. Unfortunately, many cloud solutions are just glorified monoliths. Tight coupling of the function to make it really difficult to integrate with headless architecture. Next, inefficient test process is inevitable in such complex systems. It's a perfect habitat for bugs and production issues. Next issue, which most of the client face, is overhead and reliability, relatively higher coordination in managing people in large teams. It's really an overhead to manage such a large teams, wherein everything is managed in on-prem solutions at client infra. Most of the clients have actually complained about promoting generalist instead of having a specialist. Rather than master as a team, they need to swat bugs everywhere. So team is like occupied everywhere. They can't be master of one thing, right? So client actually wants someone who can master one thing instead of person who is working on the bugs everywhere. And again, reduced specialization of people leads lack of innovation. Lastly, so the ever increasing technical debt cause of lack of clearly defined modules ownership. So does that mean that we are saying Mac is utopia? Is that the case? So modern commerce framework has certain points as well. If MAC is a big problem, some challenges are easier to win better instead of moving on to headless, right? So it all depends on the need. What do a client exactly needs? Okay, as we just spoke about this, so there is no one-stop solution for choosing among monolith and headless. So modern commerce framework has certain points as well. So we will talk about those trade-offs as we move along with the webinar. We just spoke about all those things that difficult part to headless architecture due to tight coupling, expensive licensing cost, inefficient test process, managing large teams. So we just spoke about all these things and we will cover about modern architecture pain points now. So we are talking about modern commerce frameworks, but there could be some pros and cons everywhere, right? So how do we define pain points, what a modern commerce framework brings with it? And how do we need expertise, opinion to avoid those obvious stumbling blocks? First one is no stop solution, as I just mentioned. So one really needs to assemble the solution from all available options with their own merits based on suitability of the business needs and wants. Who actually wants to support this? So plague of the versions, it's such a pain to maintain multiple versions of different microservices based functions in a system that can quickly make the system crawl to its knees. This problem can easily be solved at application level without putting in extra effort. Then we have sprawl of microservices. Microservices architecture, if exposed right, it will take some effort to understand. It's not quite simple to understand wherein everything is fully packed in terms of monolith, but it is like things are scattered in a different format. Front end is this, back end is this frameworks, front end is this framework. So a person who is working on this architecture will take some time for that person to understand and implement in a right manner. A person has to understand the complete architecture within an environment so that this can be developed perfectly, or else it will become a costly nightmare for the client. Then we have another issue, which is like headache of multiple heads, right? Obviously, since front end and back ends are not aligned, so creation of multiple heads from scratch is going to be a pain area if we don't manage it appropriately. So we can easily conclude that modern frameworks also has its pain points. There is no one solution which is available for a customer to go ahead. We need to align to tune the business, their needs, and then glorify and propose them a solution which suits their business requirements well. And if in case customer wants to migrate to Mac, what all steps a customer has to take to actually migrate to Mac? The steps to perform if we are already in Oracle Commerce or popularly known as ATG, or we are in Hybris, which is SAP Commerce Cloud, how do we migrate it to Commerce Tools, or how to migrate a simplest framework, which is in Monolith, to a modern new Mac architecture. So now that we have seen the benefits and the issues of creating an e-commerce application on Mac, we need to understand how can we move from a monolith architecture to a Mac-based e-commerce platform. So here I'll just present simplest steps for transformation from existing your Oracle Commerce or SAP Commerce Cloud e-commerce platforms to a Mac-based Commerce Tools platform. So this migration process requires solid technical and analytic skills before we start with the migration itself. A client should understand that he should have a team which has technical and analytic people as well. So the points here are defined in the flow chart are taken as a step-by-step approach. and we will explain each topic in more detail. So first topic is learning about modern concept and terminologies. So from a client perspective, we need to understand that how modern advancements and implementation of microservices is going to impact them. They should have the knowledge of public cloud, container ecosystem, DevOps, and agile development methodologies. Without knowledge of all these, a client will be in a mess. So it's actually a responsibility of solution integrator to help client with all these needs. This will also make sure that team will be able to do the development and understand the minute details about the implementation of new commerce tools framework. Then we have a discovery phase, which is nothing like a sprint zero kind of thing, wherein we discover all the features and we identify if there are any gaps in the requirements. So these process would be readily available from out of the box commerce tools. So from out of the box, we can actually figure out what all features are available with commerce tools and what all things we can leverage out of the box and what needs to be customized. While some of the features could be easily migrated as is from existing systems to commerce tool, but with a thorough analysis, we would need to document everything, to document the features and do the gap analysis to figure out what is required and what is not available out of the box. Then, as part of this process, we need to actually prioritize the processes that can be easily transferred or will be taken care immediately, and then there will be few things which will be taken care as part of the other phases or not as part of the MVPs. And, and at the same time, other time consuming and less critical features can be planned to migrate in a later stage or as part of new phases. So next in the roadmap, we have document roadmap for migration. So break down all the important list and features under heading of milestone and strict timelines to achieve them. This will actually ensure that team will work together as a fixed goal during the migration process. So what comes next is, once you have done with the documentation, you need to extract some important data from the client existing systems. So as part of this extraction, extract all the necessary important data related to content catalog, product catalog from existing ATG or hybrid systems, and use that XML or CSV format to publish that data into commerce tools. So extracting important data types in the product catalog, category tree, product SKUs or variants will help with the migration of the product as well as the catalog. So now, once we have extracted the data, how we are going to import that extracted data in the commerce tools. So the extracted data has to be arranged in a proper sequence. Like we cannot migrate products until we have the categories. So products have to be associated with categories. Similarly, pricing and stock cannot be associated with the product if product is not there in the database. So that extraction has to be maintained in a proper sequence, which can be easily imported into commerce tools using data migration service, which is already provided by commerce tools to import the data. Then we have customize API and create custom extensions. So we should learn to extend and customize the API we use as per the APIs consumed or hosted by commerce tools. Unlike other monolith e-commerce platforms, commerce tools continually push changes to production, sometimes even 4 times a day, or more than that. So we don't have to worry about all those things. Commerce tools in the backend keeps on doing that. And the last one in the league is build user interface. So now the data has been extracted, API's task has been done, custom extensions are already there, your code has already been there. So what we have to do, now we need to define the user interface. So user interface will be the only module during the migration process that has to be developed from scratch, possibly due to the strong coupling of UI code with the backend code. Most of the pages in ATG or Hybris may not be needful because Commerce Tools frontend is going to be the different one. So building the front-end UI solution as per the expertise of your front-end team so that a user gets a seamless surfing experience while shopping on the brand website. So, and then once the transform is complete, so your website is ready to launch in a phased manner, obviously. We are not going to develop everything in one go. There will be some MVP requirements which will go as part of phase one. Then we can consider having phase two and so on. So now we talk about that how to migrate from monolith to Mac, but how actually to achieve Mac. So let's dive into creating a future-ready platform in the shortest possible time. So, team, in our fast-moving world, e-commerce business often face bottleneck competition from their peers. So it becomes extremely critical for them to create their online brand store in the shortest time span while ensuring that their platforms are scalable, low in maintenance, easy to customize as well. Moreover, engaging customers digitally and delivering them personal experience is very much essential. Such future-ready platform should fulfill the criteria of MACH, which is Microservices, API first, cloud native, and headless. So one such platform that caters to the criteria of MACH is none other than Commerce Tools. So a commerce tool project can be implemented in as little as 6 to 8 weeks. Trust me, it can be done in 6 to 8 weeks. So it's microservices based architecture, providing a building block approach that can be customized to the business and its unique brand. So let's dive into the business for which commerce tools can be catered for. So the first one in the league is B2C business. So engaging customer is a key to better conversations and even conversions. So with commerce tool, one has control over it, thus making sure that the customers engage more with the website and have a friendly user experience. For B2C business, functionalities of the product catalog, orders, customer profiles are readily available. Therefore, it's a built as cloud native, headless commerce platform with a highly versatile API at its core. And what about B2B business build? So for B2B e-commerce, customer can expect the same convenience and engaging experience with B2B as they get with B2C. Nowadays, every B2B client also wants to have B2C experience so that customers can browse everything without any complication and with the same user experience as B2C. So with B2B business, readily available functionalities are user administration tooling, allowing people to administer their product catalog, promotions, discounts, customer profiles, and orders and their account section. And what about D2C business? So for direct to customer business, there are newer innovative ways to enrich the shopping experience. One of the ways is connecting the customers through social media, which makes sure that they are actually aware of the latest innovations being driven by the brand, which drives customer to get on board with the brand. So are we saying is monolith better than Mac or Mac is the best solution in the market? So a simple yes and no answer cannot serve. We cannot simply say that this one is better than this. So after looking at so many advantages of Mac over monolith, shouldn't brands be rush over Mac platform? Is that the case? But as we said, a simple yes and no won't be the proper answer, and we would not want to do injustice to either of the frameworks, mainly because so many factors play a crucial role in deciding which platform works best, depending on customer complex features, third-party API configurations and integrations, and options available with each platform, such as cost and soft skill availability. So creating commerce on a monolith can sometimes be simpler, mainly because all the components are already coupled. This actually reduces the time spent on creating the UI or backend implementation. So now this is what we have as a new reference architecture, a new architecture which is there to enable MACH. As we can see, we have a seamless front-end solution, which is not coupled with backend. And then we have a headless commerce services, which are like commerce tool services, which provides all the features from product to cart to OMS to third parties. And then again, we have loosely coupled PIMP, wherein all the product catalog, categories, everything is kept here. And we again have a process to make it secure using authorization and authentication process. Okay, and followed by our headless content services, which can be a third-party content like we have eSpirit, we have content stack, we have sitecode. There are multiple available. So all integrators are available with commerce tools. So a simplistic architecture is what a commerce tools defines. So I hope everyone understands the new architecture. I can see there are a few questions which I'll be taking up in a few minutes. So gear up, guys. It's time to launch new online solutions and new applications, new apps. So you don't have to worry about it. We, with Nvizion Solutions, who are expert in e-commerce domain and digital transformation, so we will help you to choose the best platform, the best framework for your complex business needs. We are always here for you, for your business, and we will help you to bring up your business in the market with even the performance best solution and the best architectural tuning. Thank you guys for listening patiently. And I can see if you have few questions are there in the chat window, I'll be taking up those. Feel free to add more questions, guys. We'll still have 10 minutes. We'll taking up the questions. Okay. So taking up the question from Michael. So Michael is asking if MACH is a game changer or should every e-commerce web channel should consider MACH? Okay, Michael. So to answer to your question, as I told, right? So there is no yes or no. We need to analyze your business need. We need to understand how complex requirements from a client is. But I can tell one thing that MACH architecture gives us the freedom to choose from the best tools in the market today and provide a structure that makes it easy to add, replace, or remove technologies in the future. So I can tell you that it's very loosely coupled instead of how monolith are there. So I hope that helps your question. I got your, you got your answer. Okay, then we have next question from Ankit. So Ankit is asking, which sized or complexity companies are right fit for MACH implementation? Thanks, Ankit. It's a really good question. So, as I told, that commerce tech has evolved exponentially over the past few years as business strive to have new ways to distinguish themselves and enhance their performance. So, MACH is especially beneficial for those enterprises who wish to stay ahead of the curve while adapting to the changes scenarios and not to be left behind because of outdated technologies. So irrespective of the sizable thing, everyone wants to distinguish themselves among others, among their competitors, peers. So numerous commerce and commerce content platforms are still clinging to their monolith architecture driven models and bear the fear of uncharted territory. But failure to move on one can start resulting in too much technical debt and inability to capitalize on potential opportunities. So Mac actually approach addresses all these issues by offering enterprise a fresh start equipped with flexibility and scalability. So I can say that, I mean, by leveraging this new tech, business can grow exponentially. It doesn't matter that which size or which complexity it's right fit. Mac is there for everyone. Okay. Okay, so next question we have from Dave. So Dave is asking, who are the major vendors? So guys, Mac architecture is a new way of future-proofing your business. It draws many parallels with service-oriented architecture, yet modernize the concept greatly. So there are multiple vendors available, like we have Consia, obviously we have, you guys have us, Nvizion, and Naked Commerce Platform. We have a Naked Commerce Platform which is similar to Mac, which provides you all the flexibility what Mac has. So yeah, there are multiple vendors, including us in the market, so who can help you with Mac. Okay, so next question is from Dia. Dia is asking, how is the API security handled? So Dia, as I showed you in the modern architecture design, so some of the ways that API security is typically handled in Mac architecture are authentication and authorization. So Mac vendor typically provides robust authentication and authorization mechanism to ensure that only authorized users can access all the APIs. No one from outside world will be able to access those. That's the mechanism which is used here is called as user-based authentication. It can be even API key-based authentication and role-based access control. So we can control which user can access up what and up to what level based on the role that customer belongs to. So again, encryption. So Mac vendors are also using encryptions to protect data transmitted. So it can be encrypted using multiple techniques which can't be decrypted like that. And also we have rate limiting. So to avoid DUS, which is denial of service attacks, Mac vendors also implement rate limiting policies that restrict the number of API requests that can be made in a given period of time. And also we have API gateways that actually act as a central point control of APIs, which provides more security, more scalability, and other features. So, and along with that, we have some logging and monitoring features as well to help with the API security. I hope I have answered your question, Dia. Okay, so to keep an eye on the time, we have already crossed the time. I will be taking up all your questions, guys. I don't want to miss on any of the questions. Feel free to send an email to us at sales.envision.com. We would be glad to answer all your queries and would love to hear from you. And if there is anything you want to talk about, feel free to send us an email. We would be glad to help you out with any of the things. So thanks everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope this webinar helped you in some or other way. And feel free to work with us for any of the queries or questions and send us those things to us. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.